Hi everyone, welcome to final part number 5 of my Arc Witch leveling and build guide for absolute beginners of Path of Exile in 3.17 Siege of the Atlas League. If you have no idea what you're doing and haven't watched previous parts of this leveling guide, please do us both a favor and go watch those first 4 parts before you proceed with this one. Okay, let's talk about the end game. Once you have killed Kitava in Act 10, of the main campaign of the game, you will be given a portal that takes you to a dodgy looking beach and a little kinda established base of operations, where Commander Kirak will tell you about the endless horrors that still await you in the Atlas, a mysterious and interconnected map of locations that you will need to start exploring and eliminating various threats following his missions. Kirak will have tons and tons of different missions for you. That's the kinda high level, 1000 kilometers down view of it all. If you are just finishing the campaign, you surely would have seen those Atlas maps drop for you from about level 68, 65, 68 upwards. They'd all be showing tier 1 at the moment, which means that you can activate any of these maps in a special device. That device, map device, is located in Kirak's base of operations and in your hideout as well. I am not 100% sure if it's only for those of us who have unlocked the map device in the hideout in the previous leagues of Path of Exile, or is it for everyone, even for complete newbies who do it for the very first time. I can't check it as I've been playing for a while, so let me know if you're brand new. Do you have a map device in your hideout or not? So Kirak tells you to explore the Atlas by putting one of those maps into map device, entering portals, killing the end boss of the map, who is usually sitting in an area labeled as Arena. You have to enter it kinda like a room in each map, and then you portal back out with all the loot or whatever other information you could find. So as far as endgame progression at a high level is concerned, there are two main things that will keep happening to you through the end game. You will keep leveling your character beyond the campaign and continue adding points to your passive skill tree, continuing to build up your build, to finish your build, making your character stronger. And second is, as you complete Atlas maps, as you fulfill Atlas map objectives or Kirak's missions and whatnot, you will periodically earn special skill points that you will now be able to put into the new massive Atlas skill tree. That skill tree is different from your character passive skill tree. Those skill trees create kinda another parallel build. They live side by side, if you like. So this build of Atlas tree doesn't directly improve your character's capabilities, but instead it improves the encounters and turns your mapping experience into something that you would prefer more, rather than remaining completely random. Let me explain. It's kinda like your normal build of the passive skill tree. If you choose a direction to go in, follow someone's build guide like mine or someone else's, so you go towards certain nodes that are supposed to give you something, right? Like more health or more fire damage and so on and so forth. So here, in this new Atlas tree that they've released in 3.17, you should, in my opinion, spend a little bit of time to research, use the search function at the very top of the tree, for example, or simply spend time and mouse over different major nodes on this tree, read what they tell you, and start leveling, start filling out your path, start plotting kind of your journey towards those nodes that provide you with experience that you would prefer. Such as, for example, I like ritual encounters. So I would search for ritual nodes, which will get highlighted on the Atlas tree. I'll find it, and I will start moving and adding points to the tree to move in that direction to take those extra improving nodes for ritual. Or if you like delirium encounters, you will look for delirium. Or if you like to help Aina the hunter, it makes sense, right? So you go for those nodes and it offers another completely new and looks like lengthy and meaningful progression or journey to keep you engaged and interested in the game. As you clear the trash and bosses of tier 1 maps, you will get drops of higher tier maps that will obviously become harder progressively. and also you get more rewarding. They will become more rewarding in terms of items and loot that they drop. Kirak will also continuously offer you Atlas missions. He offers you a selection of maps of his own, where could be, for example, golden rare maps with some modifiers, specific modifiers, that you need to be careful with and you need to look out for in case you read what this says, how much harder the map becomes basically when you enter it, and you need to know what your character can and cannot do yet, or for example, what you would rather not deal with, which is why you will choose a different map. For example, for the witch that suffers from damage over time quite dramatically, at least in my hands, I would go against anything that poisons everything around, you know, so I would try to avoid those kind of things. For someone who did not take the Ascendancy node that prevents you from taking reflected elemental damage, we have, but if someone didn't, for example, then you would try to look out and make sure that you don't enter those maps, otherwise you basically wouldn't be able to do much there. I hope it makes sense. I'm not trying to explain in detail how mapping progression, how those tiers of the maps grow, but you know, there are lots of different better informed guides on this on YouTube. I'm just offering you a very beginner friendly, scratching the surface direction here, not a detailed endgame guide. So not to spoil the whole journey for you, which I also have not finished myself either, but I know where it's going. As you clear maps, you will encounter certain things, let's call them, that will take you back to Kirak as new findings for further instructions. Then it's like a continuation of the main campaign. He will give you a quest, he will tell you what to do. So you just go back to him for further instructions and he will guide you. It's pretty easy and quite fun. You will need to fight new evil bosses that they have added to Atlas compared to the previous leagues, but if you're a complete beginner, for you it's all the same. It's not like it is a completely, you know, it's an adventure that you would have been confused by. So that's as far as the endgame progression is concerned, at least loosely. Now about the build guide and endgame gearing. I have included Path of Building link in the description below that represents my non-try-hard and not super optimized but workable model of what you could do and what you could go with as a baseline of gear, skills and other kind of stuff that should work fine for the early end game. That is between levels 70 and 75, I would say, because I am not planning to develop this character further. I've had as much fun as I can have with the character starting a new league with it. Right now I'm offering you this as a starting vector. Never pretend to be a massive expert, and I move on usually to other builds, to explore other builds, because that's more fun for me personally. This build, this setup should take you nicely and completely fine towards maps of tiers 4, 5 maybe, depending how hard you push and how lucky you are with getting optimal gear. This is where also I believe that you shouldn't feel like a complete newbie, complete beginner anymore. By this point you have finished the campaign, you have learned enough to start prioritizing the right stats for your build, which in Arc Witch's Elementalist's case is Intellect, Mana Pool, Spell Damage, Spell Cast Speed, Critical Chance, Health Pool, Energy Shield, and both Physical and Spell Block if you can. This list is in no particular order. Well, other than intellect has to be prioritized, as I realized that casuals and beginners would do this opportunistically, which means if you see any of those stats that are better on certain piece of gear, you will try it on, and when you replace one item with another, you need to see that you are not getting gimped or becoming suddenly really weak or squishy. So then you would go for it. It's not rocket science really, unless you're one of those people who spend several Exalt orbs on a build before they even consider it endgame proof and not a piece of garbage. You shouldn't be watching my stuff if you're one of those people, but thank you for your support anyway. And this is where I will wrap up for today, my friends. Hopefully you enjoyed this leveling guide, and I'm not talking just this final part, but the whole journey. Thank you if you watched all the videos, and I'm glad if they helped you. Subscribe to the channel for more Path of Exile and occasionally other gaming stuff. And like the video if you liked it, so that YouTube knows to show it to more players such as yourself. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you next time.